Hello, I'm Brigantia Blackbird of the Blackbird Grimoire. Welcome back to their series on the Havamal. This week we are looking at verse 121, at least according to the Olive Bray translation. So let's get going and look at our three different translations. The first one reads, and it is by Olive Bray, I counsel thee, stray singer, accept my counsels. They will be thy boon if thou obey'st them. They will work thy weal if thou winst them. Be never the first with a friend of thine to break the bond of friendship. Care shall gnaw thy heart if thou canst not tell all thy mind to another. Now our second translation from Vikinger.org reads, with thy friend be thou never first to quarrel, care gnaws the heart, if thou to no one canst thy whole mind disclose. And our final translation from Bellows reads, cherish those near you, never be the first to break with a friend, care eats him who can no longer open his heart to another. Very sad, bleak outlook right there, isn't it? But it is serving a purpose of giving us a bit of a reality check, isn't it? Because in the final analysis, no matter how bad our people skills are, no matter what our inclinations are, whether we are introverted or extroverted, people do need people. Interdependence amongst human beings is a reality. Absolute independence is an illusion. I mean, you might be very capable, have all sorts of survival skills, be able to live off the land and all these other things, but you're still going to have certain gaps in your skill set. You're still going to need to trade with other human beings. And so there's no way to really completely break off being interdependent. And we wouldn't be happy or healthy even if we could do that. And the more isolated we are, the more unhealthy we become. So this is a serious matter for us to consider. This isn't something for us to just dismiss. So let's talk about friendship, because friendship is a great gift in life. I think it's just as necessary as family, just as necessary as marriage. And true friends can become permanent fixtures in our lives, regardless of what life is throwing at us or throwing at them. These can be people who, we walk along the same road with. Now, the challenge, of course, is that we are disturbingly atomized, and this is becoming more and more pronounced as technology is increasingly serving as a substitute for human interaction. The fact that people are having very weird conversations with AI, the fact that people are having conversations with AI chat boxes at all, that is worrisome and troublesome to me. We've already heard accounts of some men essentially having AI girlfriends that they talk to, which that is really not healthy, just on the face of that. And it's more and more. It's talk to the machines, become attuned with the machines. Eschew human interaction. That's difficult. And I really think that is sowing even more seeds of discord with people. And it is putting us further at odds with each other, as if we needed any help being at odds with each other. Every possible difference and point of contention within human society, it has been amplified by media for decades, and social media has made it worse. And of course, with the onslaught and the rise of AI, that's just the latest rendition of separating people, making sure that they do not know how to relate to one another, destroying the art of conversation, destroying people to even try to rebuild these things. And that comes with consequences, because in times of trouble, which we are in, it's much harder to unite with people and face difficulties together as a community, because we don't freaking know each other. We do not know each other. And this lack of friendship means that we have fewer people in our circle can trust. And of course, the smaller your circle is, the more vulnerable you are to external tyranny. So this has been to the detriment of everyone, regardless of what our personal beliefs are. This has not been a helpful trend. So let's get some perspective. If we are going to create and hopefully rebuild friendships, that will require not over dramatizing differences, not treating not assigning greater importance to some differences than what they really have. Now, yes, of course, we do need to be able to tell friend from foe. That's just for survival. But if we become hypersensitive, that will be just dangerous and detrimental as being too accepting. And incompatibility with other people is not nearly as severe or as widespread as we often fear. So when we do have values in common with people, I think we need to start learning to trust in that power that those common values actually can exert over people. Another thing that we need is to get comfortable with give and take, because there has to be a balance with people between giving and taking. And this goes for friendship, family, marriage, your next door neighbor, anything. Now, the givers amongst us, they tend to get taken advantage of, or they are so giving and it becomes almost this manic need that they actually prevent anyone from taking care of them for a change. Sagittarians of the world, I'm looking at you. I'm married to one, and this is an ongoing issue in our relationship. He's very good and very happy to take care of me, but when I try to reciprocate, he's like, no, because then I'll be a burden. And I think that's what keeps some of the givers in this world, trapped in that mindset, Sagittarian or otherwise. They're afraid that if someone is giving to them, that they have become a burden, and that ultimately they'll be dropped. This is an irrational fear in many cases, but just because a fear is irrational does not mean that a person's struggle with that irrational fear isn't real. It is. Now, on the other end of the scale, we have the takers. They get too self-absorbed, and then they don't reciprocate. And because they're not reciprocating, they're not investing in the relationship. So we have to have balance. And yes, this means a lot of us will be pushed right out of our comfort zones. But the last time I looked, life is not about remaining in your comfort zone. And when it comes to human relationships, given just the state of utter disrepair we are currently in, it is definitely time to say it's okay if I'm uncomfortable, because I am trying to pursue something that is ultimately beneficial and worthwhile. So, healing. We all know that the prevalence of modern mental illness is owing, at least in part, to people having fewer and people having more shallow personal relationships. Isolation is actively encouraged, it's romanticized, it's made to seem glamorous. And whether the people encouraging it are doing it maliciously or ignorantly, it almost doesn't matter if we're thinking about just the results, because the result is less human thriving, and that is an evil in and of itself. And so, while we do need to deal with the people who are actively malevolent in our society, I think at first we do need to start addressing the results that have been produced from this. We need to start fixing that, and then we can start dealing with and separating the people who followed an ideology very blindly that resulted in this, and people who knew exactly where it would end up and did it because it was a way for them to gain money, power, the usual things people gain when they are working evil in the world. But that is, I think, a secondary problem to be solved down the line. Now let's talk about the good old face-to-face. I think friendships are easier to both be created and maintained when you actually see each other frequently, when you are in similar locales. It's probably best to invest your time and your effort in people that you can see in person. And it may be likely be necessary to perhaps change your routines a little bit in order to come into contact with other beings. Maybe there's time away from the internet or the television that we could take away and instead spend that time actually interacting with other humans. Now, it's okay to feel awkward. Most of us do. I know I do. But it's important to try. Practice makes better. Practice makes more comfortable. Practice makes easier. And of course, as you're building things up, the other person, they'll also be overcoming any personal obstacles that they have towards making friends, because I would say a lot of people are experiencing those kinds of obstacles. And then, it comes together. It starts coming together a lot more organically. So it's okay to feel awkward. The awkward is the price we pay to get to the reward later. So that's what I took from this week's verse. Let me know what you got out of it in the comments section below, or send me an email at brigantiablackbird@protonmail.com, and we can have a more involved discussion there. But that'll do it for right now, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.